Hey guys, what's going on? It's been a while, no doubt. I've been really busy again, both jobs keeping me running. But I got a pickup video, but first off, going to start off with this. I made it to the Rock 30 Rewards members 1,000 point club. Super glad to get it. The manager at the store, Wade, said, hey, we got a bigger guy that needs a shirt, so they got me one in a 2X. Super excited to get it. So Rock 30 and Wade, thanks. I appreciate it. Alright, let's get to the pickup video. I'm sure you noticed in the, if you looked at the thumbnail for this, it was a pretty awesome haul to begin with. I'm going to start off with that right away. And that is from my cousin Mike. I bought one of his Saturns. He was a huge Sega guy. I shouldn't say was, he still is to this day, very dedicated to the Sega platforms. And to be honest with you, some of my earliest gaming memories are spending holidays with my cousin Mike when he'd be, you know, when we were kids. And he's like 8 or 9 years older than me, so he would be in high school and junior high and whatnot, and he'd still take time to hang out with his 4 or 5 year, 6-year-old cousin. We, you know, first it was Atari, then it was Nintendo, then it was Sega Genesis, then PlayStation, and PS2, etc. But I have fond memories of being at his parents' house over the holidays and playing video games. The earliest memory I have is playing Battlezone in like their what it would be like the equivalent of a sitting room. They had like a big living room where everybody gathered, and they had like a smaller living room area where like that's where they would hook up the Nintendo to keep the kids out of the way, but or the Nintendo or the Atari. But the first game I ever remember having any level of proficiency on was Battlezone for the 2600, and my cousin Mike would let me play that for hours, and yeah, had a blast doing it. And over the years when he was in college, we would, you know, we'd play video games until 8, 9, 10 in the morning, and then crash for the day, and then get back up. Yeah, so this lot I bought off my cousin Mike, and I'm super glad to get it. So we're gonna get right to it because there's a lot of stuff to get through. First up, World Series 98. Madden 98, World Cup Golf Gold or Professional Edition, NFL 97, F1 Challenge, Andretti Racing, FIFA 96, Wing Arms, Space Jam. One of my favorites. I have this on the PS1. Still like it to this day, and that is Iron Man, Exo, Man of War, and Heavy Metal. Really glad to get this. Like I've said, I don't know enough about the Iron Man series. When I was a kid, it was Hulk, Spider-Man, G.I. Joe. Those were my favorite comics. Can't even claim to be one of those people who goes back and says, oh, I was totally into the X-Men when the X-Men got popular when the movies came out. Can't even be one of those people. Road and Tracks, The Need for Speed. NASCAR 98, NBA Live 98, FIFA 98. I was just looking to see who's on the cover. One of my favorite golf games of all time. Still play at least one round of this a month on the Sega Genesis, but this is the Saturn version. This is Pebble Beach Golf Link. Super glad to get this. One of my favorites ever. Another copy, I think is that 2 copies? Yeah, 2 copies of FIFA 96. Super cool game, Virtua Cop 2. He did send me a light gun. I'm glad I picked up that CRT Sony during spring cleaning. I'm going to get a classic game area set up for games specifically built for CRT. Solar Eclipse. One of my favorites. I've said this before, the Wii version I absolutely love. And this is Nights and Dreams. Daytona USA. Another one of my favorite games. Doesn't really hold up to this day because obviously the 3D is kind of janky at this point, but one of my favorites. Still looks good in terms of characters, but Fighting Vipers. Madden 97. Here's an all-time classic. Looks gorgeous on this. Looking to see who is on this soundtrack. That's what made it cool to me. A&M Records band. So Paw, I don't know if you remember them. Hammerbox, Therapy with a question mark, Swerve Driver, and then the two big ones, Monster Magnet and Soundgarden. I'm going to take time to say this. Fuck Soundgarden. I can't stand that band. Loved them when I was a kid, but as I got older, I was like, this is fucking awful. And I'll preface it with this. I think Kim Thale from Soundgarden is an awesome guitarist, and Matt Cameron's an awesome drummer. I really don't give a shit about them. Virtual Tennis Open. Here's an awesome one. I don't know. I've seen when I've looked around for this that it's got a variant with a white cover, so I don't know if this one's any rarer than the other one. If you guys know, you can let me know down below. But this is Virtua Fighter 2 with sort of a metallic cover. I've seen one with the standard white manual cover. So I don't know. If you know, let me know. PGA Tour 97. This one of my favorite shooters, top-down isometric, and I think I have Urban Strike or Jungle Strike for the Genesis. I can't remember, but this is Soviet Strike for the Sega Saturn. This is sort of like a remastering because it had already been out for the Genesis and Super Nintendo for a while, and yeah, it's just, there's enhanced features for this because the Saturn had more power, even though it was a mess to develop for. NHL 98. Working Designs game, so I'm assuming it's maybe not rare, but tough to find. I don't know anything about it. It is from their strategy series, that is Iron Storm. And then, last but not least, probably the two biggest in the lot. One of my favorite games ever, Street Fighter Alpha 2. Absolutely. I've said it a million times. Absolutely love fighting games. Not particularly good at them. I already played some of this. It is still a gorgeous game to this day. The cell shading and all the visuals still just really pop and are really bright and look amazing. And then finally, probably the biggest game in this lot, that is Panzer Dragoon. I know this isn't I believe it's Saga is the one that's rarer of the two, but this is still a really cool game. And I played a little bit of it, and you know what? Sega, bring it back. You guys aren't exactly doing anything with any of your good properties, so farm it out to somebody who's willing to do that. There are some loose games that I should go over, so technically not last. Resident Evil. Another copy of World Cup Golf Professional Edition. Another one of my favorites, Rampage World Tour. WWF in Your House. D, unfortunately only disc 1. Valora Valley Golf, and the pack-in, not for resale version of Daytona USA. So that is all of it from my cousin Mike, so I thank him. Then there were some thrift store and Rock 30 and GameStop pickups as I knock everything over. I'm going to get right to the one new release that I picked up since I think Metal Gear came out, and that was Super Mario Maker. Nothing more needs to be said. If you don't know about this, just look up the already millions of YouTube videos there are with this. And to be honest with you, I am not really good at creation games, so I will probably just download the stuff that the developers put out and maybe some... I understand it's kind of cumbersome right now to just download the... to just straight up download the... you have to follow the person and then get a download code or something to that effect. So I understand it's kind of cumbersome, so I am going to probably just download directly stuff that Nintendo releases directly until they find a faster way. One other thing, I'm not really on the Amiibo train, but I do like this one, is Super Mario 30th Anniversary, which, by the way, happy birthday, Super Mario. Oh yeah, and happy birthday Sega Dreamcast. I'm a few weeks behind here in videos. And who else? Somebody else turned 30. Oh, Ghosts and Goblins, or Ghouls and Ghosts, whatever you want to call it. That also turned 30. So happy birthday to all those. And the PlayStation had its 20th anniversary, obviously with the anniversary controllers that they put out. But this is the 30th anniversary edition Mario Amiibo. You can see him. He's pixelated. He actually looks really cool. And like I said, not really on the Amiibo train. I'm hoping that they do something more with them. But as of right now, I'm not holding my breath. All right. This was a thrift store pickup. Don't really see it out there. And see, it's fairly uncommon. The price puts it right at about $17 to $18, which for a sports game is kind of high. And that is MLB, 2K Sports MLB Front Office Manager. Exactly what it says. It is a strategy game based on being a front office manager. Forgot that I had this for the PS2, so I will probably sell one of the extra PS2s I have and toss this in, but Crash Nitro Kart, it's in great shape. The disc needs to be cleaned, but not buffed by any means. Here's a fairly uncommon one that I don't see out there a whole lot, and I was glad to get it. It was $3 at Goodwill. That is Lego Soccer Mania. I already played a little bit of it just to see, and it's actually a lot of fun. Interestingly enough, it's distributed by Electronic Arts, but there is no... On the packaging, there is no EA, turn it the right way, sorry. There is no EA branding anywhere other than where it says on the back, distributed by Electronic Arts, which is really weird to me. Normally, if it's an EA does anything, their name is all over it. All right, then a couple of Rock 30 pickups. This is from Natsume, and they constantly, you know, what is it? Harvest Moon is, I believe, their big property. This was $4 at Rock 30, so I picked it up because I actually rented it quite a bit and enjoyed it. This was towards the end of the PS2 run, 2006. So not one of the latest games, but certainly, you know, people were already focusing on PS3 and Xbox 360 at that time. That is Rough Trigger, the Vancor Conspiracy. Sort of an action platformer, light RPG elements. Totally reminds me of Metal Arms, A Glitch in the System. Possibly Sierra's most overlooked property is Metal Arms, Glitch in the System. It plays fantastically on every system. PS2, Xbox, GameCube. You can't go wrong, and usually you come across that game for anywhere between $3 to $5. Same goes with this one. Fantastic game. I think this is a PS2 exclusive, however, so if you run across Rough Trigger or Metal Arms, A Glitch in the System, pick them both up. You'll be out anywhere between $6 to $10, and there's a ton of enjoyable... Both games are amazing. I'll put it that way. Here's another one that I absolutely had a blast playing. Rented the hell out of. Probably should have bought it. But that is Metro from Metro 3D, who is, I believe, kind of a budget producer. I know they put out that Dark Angel Vampire Apocalypse action RPG, which it's isometric, it's hack and slash, it's right in my wheelhouse. It's not a perfect game by any means, but it's exactly what I like. And this is Smash Cars. It's a lot of fun. The levels are actually fairly huge. You run into actual real world dangers like kids on bikes, kids on trikes, alligators, and it's a racing Smash, you know, Burnout style racing game. It's a lot of fun. I shouldn't say Burnout because it's off-road, so if somebody buys this thinking they're getting like a urban racing experience, no, it's RC cars and you're off-road, but you deal with real world hazards, you know, people, kids on bikes, animals. The driving and the and whatnot reminds me a lot of Toy Commander for the Sega Dreamcast. Toy Commander is in my personal top 50 of all time. I should probably do one of those videos at some point. My favorite games ever. Not the ones that I think are the best ever, because I know there's a few in there that would be considered terrible, but my favorites ever. All right. Another Rock 30 pickup, Def Jam Icon for the 360, so I traded off my PS3 version. As I've said, I prefer to, when it comes to the previous generation, I prefer to be pretty much towards the 360, unless it's PS3 exclusives or stuff that are harder to find stuff that's that for whatever reason is rarer on the PS3, I might go for it then, but for the most part I collect for the 360. Here's a guilty pleasure game. This is one of those games that is not perfect, but it has a lot of heart, and this is Turning Point: Fall of Liberty. If you don't know what it is, it's a what-if game. What if Germany won World War II? And it is not perfect. It's middling to average reviews, but I had a blast playing it, and that's all that really counts. Plus, it was $4, so don't really care for $4. Here's another game. I've said it before. Our basement flooded. This is one of the dozen or so. It was right around 12 or 15 games that got. Once the basement was drained out, they were just covered in. And the worst part is that I actually had them on the shelf. Just the shelf was too low, but it got covered in like silt and whatnot. And once everything dried out, the stuff was pretty much crusted on there, so I couldn't really do anything with them. But this is Viking: The Battle for Asgard. Sort of a semi-open world game, and you've got strategy elements, like you build your army and then bring them to war with I can't even remember what your enemies are called at this point, but you bring in, you're able to call in airstrikes with a dragon and whatnot, and the combat is extremely fun to this day. Really vicious, really brutal. Really good combat in this game. This is another game. Sega, bring this back, or at the very least, farm this out to do a remaster or do a proper sequel. This is a really good game. And here's two games that I was always intrigued to play. I know my good buddy Mitch really loves this series. And I'm just looking right here. This is the first one. This is Operation Flashpoint Dragon Rising and Operation Flashpoint Red River. Now, Red River must be the rarer of the two, as it was $12, and Dragon Rising was $5. So to get the pair for $17 and play through them both, I'm happy with that. And then let's get these out of the way. All right. Couple of GameStop pickups. Mayhem 3D. Absolutely love this game. It's a sort of a destruction derby type game. This one's in 3D, and interestingly enough, when Kelly over at GameStop opened it up, he's like, "Look at that, Nate. The 3D glasses came with it." Now, I'm not going to play it in 3D. Every time I ever played it was it never had the glasses with it, so I didn't really care. But it's, racing demolition derby, but it's in black and white and has a really stunning visual style, just like Mad World. Now, this game, again, this is one of those games that's not perfect by any means, but it's got a lot of heart, and you could see what they were going with this. And it's from Rombax Games and Left Field Productions. Rombax did another one of my guilty pleasure favorites, Venetica. So I am glad to get this, and I think what I pay with my power-up rewards, I think this was $3.49, so big deal. Here's one that I had for the PS3. Interestingly enough, the PS3 version forces widescreen, and I don't know why, so I got rid of it, because I am definitely not going to play that in that setup. So track down Captain America for the Xbox 360. I think I am, at this point, very close to having all of the Sega Marvel games, which are very hard to find, and just like the Activision Ultimate Alliance games, they're not going to come out digitally unless there's some sort of new licensing agreement struck between now Disney, Sega, Activision, etc. We aren't going to see these games digitally, and probably not in any sort of maybe if Disney decides, because I don't know how this would work. I know that I think Sega would own the gameplay, Sega and Activision would own the gameplay, but they own the IP, so technically maybe they could work something out where we saw similar to the Rare Replay, where we saw like Disney say, hey, what we could do is put these all in one collection and see if people would be interested, and people would be interested. Captain America Super Soldier is actually a fantastic game too, by the way. This was an eBay lot. I paid $35 for it. And let's see. And I traded off. There was 14 games in it. I already traded off 9 of them because the 9 that I traded off were Call of Duty games, and I kept whatever I didn't have. Splinter Cell Double Agent. I know this is one of the more controversial ones. Brothers in Arms Hell's Highway. Absolutely love this one. Gearbox, Ubisoft put that. Gearbox made it. Ubisoft published it. Here's another guilty pleasure game. I got middling reviews, but I have played the demo and enjoyed it. That is Prison Break: The Conspiracy. I already have this game digitally, but I wanted a physical copy, and since it was included in the lot, I decided to hang on to it. That is Battlefield Bad Company. Then last but not least, going to need a new case for this because it's kind of banged up, but that is Dead Rising. Then there were a couple of odds and ends pickups just on their own. Track this down. Rumble Roses Double X or XX, and then I got a completed copy of History's Great Battles Medieval. Could not find the manual or artwork, which is what I needed. The manual that I had was a photocopied version, which somebody put way too much time and effort into photocopying that, and then the artwork that I had must have been a former rental because the barcode stuff was cut out of it. So then one fairly... Oh, I missed one. Then I got, as I showed you, I got Dead Rising, completed the trilogy. Dead Rising 2, the Zombrex edition, the collector's edition. It is complete. The lady did let me know before she sold it to me. She was like, Nate, just so you understand, the Zombrex notepad, she said, I've used 2 sheets of it, so it's the Zombrex notepad is not complete. Interestingly enough, I had this for the PS3, and for whatever reason, my PS3 version of the Zombrex edition of Dead Rising 2 had 2 Zombrex notepads in it. So I actually have a complete Zombrex notepad by mistake. And then, last but not last out of this lot, or out of this stuff, is Dead Rising 2 Off the Record. This was $12 at First National Pawn, and they have a sale going right now, 25% off all video games. I think what they're trying to get to is they're trying to clear some space for the Xbox One and PS4 stuff that they have rolling in now. So they're trying to get rid of some of the older games. All right, that is all of that stuff from the current stuff. Let's get to this right here. A couple of new games. Play Asia had this on sale for $16.99. Under Night in Birth, absolutely gorgeous 2D fighting game from Axis. I actually thoroughly enjoy right now Axis Games and Nipponichi or NIS. They are both dedicated to still putting out really good games on the PS3. There's the Deadly Premonition Classified Edition coming out pretty soon, and that is on the PS3, and that's from NIS and Axis. They both continue to put out amazing content for the PS3, which interestingly enough, my PS3 is probably just with the weird oddball stuff that these guys are putting out. My PS3 is probably getting played more than my PS4 right now. Then Target had these on clearance. Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker for $4.98, and this is Siphon Filter, the dual pack Siphon Filter, Logan's Shadow, and Killzone Liberation for, was it again? $379. Or no, sorry. $374 is what it came to, because it was on clearance for $748, then another 50% off on stuff on that shelf. So grabbed these, all sealed, brand new. Local Craigslist pickup, paid $40 for this, and I don't care. I realize that $40 seems like expensive, but this is actually a deal. Zelda Ocarina of Time Collector's Edition, complete in box, and I will be honest, I tested it out. It works, and like I said, I will be honest. This is going in a collector's case and not getting touched again because I have the Wii version and I have the regulars. I have a cart of Ocarina of Time that's loose, and so this one's complete. It's the gold cart. I'll even pop it out really quick just so you can see that I'm not lying to you. The gold cart collector's edition. I'm glad to get it. Really, really glad to get it. The guy who I bought it from actually wasn't from in town here, but he was from about 20 miles away, and I met him midpoint. And like I said, that's going in a collector's box and not getting touched again. And I have no problem saying that, because that is a actual rarity and hard to find game. Then there was one more lot that I picked up over at First National Pawn, because everything was 25% off. Like I said, I spent a grand total of, I think I spent a grand total of, I have the receipt somewhere. It was, after it was all said and done, it was $23 and change for all these games, and there's a couple that are tough to find in there. The first one that is tough to find, and this is complete and in immaculate shape, and I do not have it for my Xbox collection, that is Mortal Kombat Deception. And as you can see, the bonus disc is included, because this is the Melina edition. Really glad to get this. This was $4 at 25% off, so it came to $3. This is one of a more uncommon game for the Xbox. Absolutely gorgeous. Taz Wanted. So this one was $7.50 after the discount. Here's an Xbox exclusive that I didn't have. I did have to track down a manual for it, which sucked, but this is also in terrific shape. Superman, the Man of Steel. Probably, as of right now, the best Superman game we have. By no means is it perfect, but it is better than anything that came out. Let's see, I'm trying to think. It's definitely better than Superman 64, although that's not saying much. But this is still a reasonably fun game. You got all of Superman's abilities: flight, laser eyes, or fire eyes, whatever you want to call them, freezing breath. And you do have to use those abilities to unlock puzzles and whatnot, which I guess they use to the greatest effect. Here's one that is an adventure game. I know very little about this series other than it's fairly beloved, and this is an Xbox exclusive in that it was only released on the Xbox console. It was the only released on consoles for the Xbox. This is before they got fast and loose with the term exclusive. This is Broken Sword, the Sleeping Dragon. This was $3. This was $3. Superman was $4.50. Here was a steal. I see this game is fairly uncommon to rare. I would even go as far as to say, and I see it sells right around $25-30 routinely. And I played a bunch of it already, and it's really good. I'm glad I picked it up. They had it marked at $8, so I picked it up for $6. That's Spirits and Spells for the GameCube. Lots and lots of fun. And it still looks really good. For whatever reason, the GameCube games hold up to this day. I think a lot of them look good. Like the Wii version of Wind Waker still looks amazing. Even though I have Wind Waker HD, Wind Waker on the Wii still looks amazing. Up next, and I got this solely based on the high recommendation of Retro Gamer Central. He's one of my favorite YouTubers, just straight up collector, and does a lot of playing videos, gameplay videos, and I absolutely love him. Does a lot of cool stuff on his channel, just basically collection. I think his primary focus for a while was GameCube or N64, I believe, but he knows a lot more about the Wii stuff than I do. But based solely on his recommendation, and it's an Atlas game, so I know there's going to be a lower print run. This is Trauma Team for the Wii. This was $4. So with the my phone's ringing. Sorry. So with the 25% off discount, this was $3. And then the last but not least, this was $1. Trauma Center Second Opinion, which I realize isn't as valuable or as rare as the other one, but it came out to 75 cents. Sorry about the phone call. Now you're gonna hear my puppy start howling. He absolutely, I don't know what it is about the phone. If you can pick it up, it's just that's his reaction to phone calls, and that's how he howls. One last pickup. That, yep, you can probably hear him right now. There's nothing wrong with him. He just howls at the telephone. So, last but not least, I went into Dakota Boys Ranch, or another trans thrift store, and there we go. And they had just put this out on the shelf, so I powered it up really quick, and they had it, and it was $30 is what they wanted for it. But there is some pretty cool stuff in here. First up, the old school Game Boy. I'm sitting kind of far back because I have something on my lap here. Then there's this, I think it's, yeah, it's not broken, it just slides back together. Game Boy magnifier, which, whatever, could care less about that. Then, I don't see this out there very often, so there's got to be some sort of Game Boy nerds that would love this. That's the official cleaning kit from Nintendo. The games that were with it were not particularly remarkable, but there is one in here that people will go crazy for. First up, here's... I'm going to move it over this way, see if you can pick it up. The glare is coming off it pretty bad. Pac-Man. Yeah, that's not going to pick up very well. F1 Race. NBA All-Star Challenge 2. There we go. Skate or Die, Bad and Rad. Didn't even know they did one for the Game Boy. Of course, you know, can't really have an original Game Boy without this. But there's Tetris. Bo Jackson, 2 games in 1. I'm assuming this is football and baseball to some extent, all in one game, so it's probably garbage. Never played it, so I wouldn't know. $30 got me, and then there's one other thing that $30 got me, all that stuff, the magnifier, the cleaning kit, Game Boy, and this old school Game Boy case. This thing is amazing. I've got to get it cleaned up. This actually looks like crayon. The case itself was really dirty, and I cleaned up most of that, but I'm going to hang on to this just for nostalgia's sake and just sort of preserve some history with this because it's actually a cool little case. Last but not least, the one incredible thing in that lot for $30, Pokemon Yellow. I know it's right for loose cart right around $20. I will probably trade this off so long as the battery works. I don't care anything about the Pokemon series. I don't even care to collect them, to be honest with you, to add them to my collection. I know they're not uncommon or rare. Just nobody sells them back, so they're tougher to find that way. They hold their value. But thanks everybody for watching. Trying to get on a more on a better schedule, but it's kind of tough with both jobs right now, so I'm going to post some gameplay videos later this week of older stuff, and thanks for watching. Comment, rate, subscribe, and we will see you next time.